anytime you have Scooble, though, if you put all the projected stats together, it's amazing what he can cover up. Like you're going to end up with good ratios unless you really botch it. So he gives you so much foundation, and it is a safety blanket for sure. The second one, yeah, this was intentional. I wanted to then do a spread the wealth build. So I was not going to go back to back top three unless it was 37 or something, which it wasn't. So yeah, I would be careful calling Logan Webb an ace. He's just my SP1, and
Right.
he is an SP1 this year. I think he's a top 15 pitcher, but he's not an ace in my mind. That's my plan was to get 220 plus starters, and I did not do it. And this was a weird one. Someone went Scooble Skeens right out of the gate, and then someone jump bid Yamamoto to 32. That just kind of created a little bit of chaos in the auction, and that tier that had been reliably around, like 22, 23 were 25, 26. It just got a little bit out of hand there. So that kind of threw me off. So, and then, I did try to get, I wanted to see, can you get two closers for like 25 or so? And I got Iglesias for 15, Santana for 11. I'm okay with that. It's really hard to get two for 25 this year. And, looked into both. I loved how Iglesias finished the year. Santana looks like he has the role for now and, is decently skilled. So, then I went after a bunch of guys I want. I wanted to Chase Burns. I wanted a Woodruff, So once I got them, I'm like, oh, okay. I have to lean into the risk here. This is maybe an upside team or an overall type of team. This team could completely crash and burn on innings. I mean, I was looking at the projected innings. I need about 200 to kind of get there, but it could be 400. If these guys really get injured or just aren't as good as I think. So. So Musgrove, Manaea, I just added even Detmers for $1. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going all upside on this one. And, I have one anchor in Webb as far as innings and, solid. And then the rest are just, trying to hit on something. If it all works out, this could be a really, really good team, but it could also be, not.
It does. It definitely, I can see how you would sort of map this out because like if you want Burns and Woodruff, like Webb actually pairs really nice with Burns and Woodruff. Like Burns and Woodruff aren't going for SP1 prices because of the perceived injury risk, but they have SP1 borderline SP1 level like projections if they're just healthy all season. So the combination of pitchers makes sense to me. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm. So what do you think of the like 8 the one starter versus or one closer versus the two closers? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of like the 8 awesome starters and one awesome reliever, maybe a bit more. But I also definitely understand like what you're saying with like the, if you're gonna spend 108. Like almost you maybe want more than just the one reliever. So I don't know. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I kind of did it backwards, right? I got the 2 relievers where I spent less, and I got the 1 reliever when I spent more. And I wouldn't call it 8 awesome starters either. So, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. I don't think I totally executed. One thing I'll say is, typically. And hopefully we'll talk a little bit. It was on the agenda, but I'm curious. Just we have. I'm joining not you in the same league, but I'm doing a 500 DC this year for the first time in a couple of years, and I've been mulling over this exact question in a auction draft champions where you get 27 more rounds. What do? Do you go 8-1 or do you go 7-2? 8-1, you're like, well, I can spec on 6 guys in the reserve rounds. Or you could say, you know what, there's no fab. I want to lock down 2 closers and I'll get a couple specs. I could spend the rest of my, reserve rounds on starting pitcher, darts, etc. So I'm honestly not sure which way I'd want to go. In a perfect world, I like going 7-2, but that's when the closer prices were better. The closer prices are pretty gross right now, and it's making it, you have to spend 30, even 40 to get two really good closers. I've seen people spend 38, 39 on two closers. So it's just gotten a little more challenging. I think 8-1 is viable, and like at the end, I could have gotten maybe a $2 Taylor Rogers. Instead, I went $2 Logan Henderson. Like, I'd rather take a shot on Henderson with his upside than a prayer spec. I mean, Rogers could be the guy. Who knows? But it's not the greatest team. He's old. So, that was the decision I made late when I went 8-1 was what's worth more to me, a $2 Ponce or Henderson or a $2 spec that, might not have anything in a month.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it's way different with the 500 DC auction versus the Fab League auctions. I'd feel much better about getting two relievers in the auction in the DC, and I would feel much less sort of naked if I only get one in a Fab League, because then I can figure it out in season. But like trying to find your second closer in the reserve rounds of a DC where like all the people in these 500 DCs are really good players. Like, you're not whoever you think is like your closer dart that you're going to get in like round 3 of the reserves. Like you're probably not going to get them. So, but yeah, I mean, is your auction, you said you're doing a 500 DC?
Yeah. Mike and I are doing one. We typically don't do like a prep auction. We just show up in Vegas and, just go for it. And, it's worked out pretty well, but I think getting one under our belt might help because he doesn't do OLX. He doesn't want to add the Fab. So we kind of rely on my OLX just as strategy sessions to kind of think through ours. But I think, having him get in on one, I think will be good. And how good of a DC player he is. And that's definitely a weakness of mine. So it made sense. But what I've heard is that, just like you said, you want two closers, but the closer prices get elevated because I'm assuming a lot of people want two closers. So, that's a challenge too, because it's already elevated. If it gets even more elevated, I don't know if I could pull. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can go 2 for 30 or 2 for 35. I really don't.
Yeah, I suppose you probably want to go in with a plan A and a plan B, and some pretty specific targets if you have to go to plan B.
That's, I mean, it's cliche. We say this every time. Every auction's different, have a plan, but, behind the cliche is some truth. And it's just about being agile, being nimble in the moment, thinking it through, having other options, not getting stubborn, being patient. It's a lot. It doesn't fit everyone's personality, which is why I think they're so interesting, auctions. It doesn't fit every personality. Not everyone has that mindset. And, that's where you could run into some trouble